Welcome to the Docs Who Lift podcast, where we distill and simplify the complexities of a healthy lifestyle, exercise, medicine, and weight loss. We're excited to bring you a podcast that's a prescription for clinical practice, scientific recommendations, and just real life. This is the Docs Who Lift podcast.
Okay.
All right.
Welcome back to the Docs Who Lift podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Spencer Nadolsky. I got my co-host here, the greatest endocrinologist ever, Dr. Karl Nadolsky Jr.
Hey, how's everyone?
Today we're going to be talking about this concept of a gym clinic, meaning your doctor's office having a connected gym or having a gym as a doctor's office. And I know I've talked about this since I was in medical school over 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Brothers talked about this.
This has been a dream of ours, really.
A few people have talked about this. I know other people have talked about using CrossFit boxes, kind of that idea as a primary care. Interesting concept, kind of taking the community aspect of CrossFit. I think you can do it with any gym. I don't think it really matters. But we wrote a paper together, actually. We should have invited our fellow docs.
I was going to say
medicine.
Yeah,
Austin
we could do
Baraki.
another one with them, maybe as a follow up to this.
Yeah, let's do it. We'll do a follow up. But my brother back in October said, "Hey, you want to help with this paper?" And I was like, "No, I got too much on my plate." And then about a week later, my job status changed abruptly to where I was like, "Okay, well, I guess I got some time on my hands. Let's do it." So
Yeah.
what is this concept?
So first
what was the idea?
Well, let's back up a little bit, because actually several years ago we wrote an article for MedPage Today about this concept. Remember?
Yes.
Yeah. So if you look up the Docs Who Lift MedPage Today, there's an article from several years ago talking about how it would be so ideal to have some sort of fitness center and fitness expertise in the physician's office for people to go and learn and take and prevent illness and take care of it. And then actually, but it was a couple years ago where we were asked to contribute a chapter to a lifestyle medicine textbook. Remember?
That's right.
And that's what ultimately kind of led to this. So then the American Journal of Lifestyle Medicine reached out and asked for an invited review, kind of a conceptual paper on incorporating a gym. Now, this specifically was a gym facility in a lifestyle medicine practice for patients with diabetes. So this paper was technically focused on, diabetes mellitus, type 1, type 2 diabetes, etc. But we certainly are, very holistic, and we take a whole person approach to all benefits of exercise as medicine. And so that's our general mantra. And that's how this came about. And so I said, yeah, let's do it. And then you, said no. And then, no, I can do it because, I don't know.
Because I got fired or something.
Yeah, okay. I didn't want to say it. That's not exactly true for everyone listening.
For anybody listening,
he didn't do anything egregious.
I was working with a company, Renaissance Periodization, for anybody listening, and I didn't get fired. Well, kind of. I don't know.
No, they can. Yeah, let's be clear.
We went separate ways, and now I'm doing my own thing. But
am I allowed to say that because you had better ideas? And then they like your better ideas, and they fired you?
I think my ideas are the best.
I'm your older brother, so I have a bias.
You're allowed to say that. I think my idea is good. I like my ideas. They didn't like them, so that's okay. So we went separate ways. But I had time to do this, and this is something we've been thinking about because what are the biggest barriers to getting? First of all, exercise is better. We literally named this podcast the Docs Who Lift because we think so strongly about physical activity. Lifting weights, aerobic training, whatever, doesn't matter. Physical activity as medicine, and which, just really good for your health, really good for you.
Yeah, in all different ways.
How do you how do we get rid of these barriers? How do we go through over these barriers to get people to do more physical activity? And one of these
what are some of the barriers? Why are people not getting either working out at home or getting into a gym? learning how to lift weights, do resistance training, doing a variety of recreational or aerobic activity. What kinds of barriers are there? You see a lot of primary care.
Yeah. Some barriers are not thinking that exercise needs to be punishment. That's one that I see a lot, that they just think they need to do some extensive, complicated program that has to be hours on end. One of them is not feeling comfortable going to a gym because you don't know what you're doing. You're like, I don't want to go in there. And the story that I always tell is that I did a triathlon, gosh, I can't believe it's been 7 years ago.
Wow.
Anyway.
Really?
Yeah. And I swim like a rock. I can doggy paddle and stay afloat. I had to, ever since sailing lessons, they make us tread water for however many minutes. And I did that when I was, 4 or 5 years old. But I never really learned how to swim quickly anywhere. It was just like I could, be safe. Well, I had to do that for this. And when I went to the pool my first time in my little Speedo, and, I'm pretty buff, but I was actually, I walk in, I'm like, okay, but I was very intimidated because I'm not good at swimming. And everybody else, the little old ladies that they could just go for hours swimming, it seemed like. And here I am, I swim like a rock, basically look like I'm drowning in the water.
Tell the story about how did you tell the story about how the 87-year-old lady had to dive down and save you from the bottom of the pool?
That didn't happen, but I was trying to swim, and I'm like, oh, this lady's, I'm able to swim, so I'm like trying to swim, and I'm like flailing about trying to get a couple laps. And I'm like flying past her for the first couple laps, and then I'm like about to drown. Basically, I have to hold on, and she just went on for, I swear, another like 30, 45 minutes, like it was nothing, kind of like the tortoise and the hare. But anyway, I was very intimidated because I didn't. There were certain rules and trying to there's certain etiquette and all these different things, and I don't know how to swim. And there are people in the stands watching, and I'm like, this is, if I feel this way, I can only imagine my patients living with obesity who go to the gym, and there's a bunch of meatheads looking around, grunting and feeling like you're being judged. And if you don't know exactly the right form and, which exercise progression, whatever to do, and people are always videoing and putting these videos of people doing the wrong stuff online. I can only imagine what other people feel like. So anyway, that's just an aside. So if I feel that way, I think this gym intimidation is a big issue. So the concept was, well, what if you had a clinic where similar people in the similar demographic were all trying to learn in a clinical like manner, while then incorporating that community aspect that you see, like why CrossFit does so well, because people are cheering each other on. And people are holding each other accountable. So that was literally the idea of this gym primary care metabolic center clinic type of thing.
Yeah, and absolutely. I mean, think about not just kind of that gym intimidation, but like you said, part of that is just not knowing what the heck to do, especially with weight training. Going out for walks, et cetera, is one thing, but also having the expertise available, the medical professionals. It would be great to have exercise physiologists, physical therapists, because think about all the different physical limitations that people have. They can't just go out for walks. They might not be able to just go and, figure out how to do some bench press or whatever, and so really education is a big deal. And we think, it's a little bit of a hypothesis, that people, and we're open to feedback, would be more open to going to a medically directed, community-based, though, wellness center that's within the physician offices. It would be nice, I think, if all primary care offices had some sort of gym clinic. That's our perception. We obviously are passionate about exercise as medicine, and that's what this paper is about, and the chapter that we wrote previously. Because, lifestyle as medicine is the first line recommendation for every relevant disease state. From obesity and the obesity complications that we talk about a lot, the cardiometabolic things, diabetes, cardiovascular risk. We talked about, we have another podcast on fatty liver, but also things like arthritis, fibromyalgia, pulmonary diseases, osteoporosis, which I do a lot of, bone health. it is exceedingly important to find a way to help patients do exercise. And as the docs who lift, it might be cliche, but we got to get people to do more resistance training in some form, weight-based, body weight, weights, machines, all that stuff. And so this was our idea that if we could find a way to make this more prevalent, then maybe that would help.
Yeah, I think when all is said and done, you and I are going to somehow get one of these clinics open at some point. I don't know how, but
even if we have to save up, and it's just a free thing to provide.
Even if we lose money on it, we're gonna figure this one out, because I think the concept makes sense to me, and maybe our hypothesis is wrong, and maybe we'll end up with a bunch of meatheads coming knocking on our door just to hang out with us. But so I have this group LiftRx. By the way, this podcast is brought to you by LiftRx. But the concept was having an online version of that, to where so you have programming and just making it less intimidating. But having it in person would be just way more powerful than just that. Just having very simple programming to where you feel like you can do it. And then if you feel comfortable, you graduate and you don't have to go somewhere else, but then you could say, like, okay, I can go maybe do this at home, or augment it at home, or augment it at different gyms, and you'd feel more comfortable doing it because you know what you're doing.
Yeah, and in fact, I think one of the primary goals of a clinic like this, because obviously it wouldn't be able to have 1,000 people in it at one time. So one of the primary goals would really be to teach people how to do it on their own, at home, outside, at whatever gym or wherever they want to go. But this would, provide a safe space, opportunity, some professional guidance, supervision, and support for patients to adhere to the exercise physical activity prescription. And so that then they do feel comfortable going out and doing it wherever they want to do it.
Yeah, we had a few tiers. We had like the lowest tier of what would be the minimal effective dose, or whatever you want to say, minimal effective equipment. Yeah. Like you have like a small little...
Yeah, I have the table pulled up here. So what we had three things. So a minimal or focused, which would be like a small space. We came up with less than 1,000 square feet. Could be for like individual or small groups. Probably pretty low cost for the medical professionals trying to do this. Maybe good for small clinics like solo or group practices, but you wouldn't potentially need a lot of equipment per se, and this might be the right area to help people learn what to do at home, and it wouldn't require a lot of personnel. The intermediate sort of suggestion to us would be obviously kind of a medium-sized space, more like 1,000, anywhere between 1,000 and 10,000 square feet we came up with. Could have multiple different rooms and areas of different types of exercise plans and equipment, potentially many individuals all at one time, or a bunch of small group sessions. Potentially this could be, for clinicians listening, maybe if you had a big group practice, a large group practice, would be obviously a little bit more expensive, but could have several different exercise modalities, including a weight room, an aerobic cardio room, could have some focused studios, and maybe even a physical therapy or rehabilitation component to it for the physical therapists to help with people with significant physical barriers, injuries, etc. And you could have all sorts of different personnel. You could have some personal trainers, exercise physiologists, physical therapists, and certainly at that point you might start needing to get some custodial staff. And then certainly what I think we'd all love to dream of, and this is like what was down in North Carolina, where we always wanted our mom to go. What was the name of that place? You remember? It was in Greenville, North Carolina.
Yeah,
it was associated with
ViQuest. ViQuest.
It was something like that. Anyways, just having a real huge comprehensive center. A really large space, well over 10,000 square feet, maybe even a lot bigger. Could potentially take care of lots and lots of individuals, multiple large group sessions. Obviously would be very expensive to start and maintain. So you'd have to, for those actually wanting to do this, would have to find a way. But perhaps it could be associated with a large medical system, which is to some degree what I would love to develop around here locally, and have all sorts of things: weight rooms, aerobic rooms, studios, maybe a track, a pool, one of those functional areas. In my area, I think of MVP Gym as having all this, a rehab center, and tons of different personnel available. So that's what we came up with for those three sort of concepts.
Yeah, and there's different ways. So like the minimal one I think is pretty doable. You have a squat rack, you have a few little small machines, some dumbbells, very minimal. Then you think of the medium one, it gets into like almost like a hotel gym or kind of one of these small, like almost like an anytime or 24-hour fitness. It's hotel up to these bigger ones. It has a bunch more equipment. And then you think of like your standard like wellness club type of place. Now the idea with that though, we said, now, it's hard to purchase one of these unless you're a big healthcare system. And I know Centera, when I was in the Hampton Roads area, they had their own thing, and some of these other places have their own wellness centers. So it's either that, or you could actually ask them, could I put a room to have your own clinic within that place? I think that's an option. Obviously, it's hard when you have big corporate entities. Trying to work
and there's
together,
so many competing interests, which is unfortunate because really we should all be on the same team for these things, but it's the way it is.
Yeah, the other issue, a barrier is cost. So not only for a clinician but for patients. So I posed a question on there's a lot of people got mad on multiple different parts, but a lot of people got really excited because I said why I feel like. The point was that insurance pays for expensive drugs that may or may not have a lot of clinical benefit. So if they're paying for that, they should probably at least pay for a gym membership that we know has a pretty good clinical benefit if the person goes. Of course, it's only worth anything if the person does it.
Yeah.
So I was like, so insurance should pay for a gym membership. Now people, shot back and said if they can't afford $10 to $50 or $100 a month, then they don't really care. Again, it's all hypothetical. It's more so the principle that if the insurance is paying for this, they should be paying for this. Then this gets into a whole other debate of
and a lot of people
should
can't
insurance
afford,
actually pay for.
We both have patients who, and you guys may be listening, some people can't afford that stuff. Some people can't afford their medications, and that's a problem. Some people can't afford the copays of doctor's appointments, procedures, equipment. So the whole thing's a problem. So that's not the point. It's not to debate insurance issues. We could have a whole podcast on that. But it's more of like you said, the principle. I mean, this needs to be part of an established benefit, whether insurance or whatever it is.
Yeah, all we're trying to do is lower the barriers. We're just trying to get rid of these barriers that prevent people from doing some sort of physical activity, whether spontaneous, fun, like basketball. It could be anything, any type of activity, to structured exercise such as resistance training or aerobic training. And so I think if the paper's out, we'll link it here in the podcast. Yeah. But I think it's a good concept for those physicians who are listening who want to get, maybe have an entrepreneurial idea. I will say that at MedStar, which is associated with Georgetown, another concept we came up with that we wrote about in the paper, what we did is we took a cardiovascular rehab, basically people who, after they have heart attacks, cardiac rehab. And I said, okay, this actually, they had a bunch of cardio units in there, but they also had some weights and some machines. And I was like, wait, why isn't this being used? So I actually set it up for the bariatric program and said, like, okay, once the cardiac rehab's done, we can start setting up classes. And if you're smart about it, if you work with your hospital, you could actually set up ways to where it can be used you can charge insurance to do it in different ways. Group classes and that type of thing. So there's lots of ways around it, not any one right way. My preference would be to have kind of that direct primary care type of thing where it's like $50 or $100 a month, get you access to the doctor and a gym. So it's relatively affordable. Plus, it's a super high value to where you're getting doctor and a gym all in one. That's what I would think. But might be hard to prove out that model.
Yeah. So many different ways, so many different barriers to make this happen, not just trying to help the barriers to get people in. But, bottom lines, increased physical activity and exercise. These are first-line recommendations for everybody, especially people with diseases such as obesity, cardiometabolic disease, diabetes, osteoporosis, fibromyalgia that we talked about. But it remains underutilized for a whole variety of reasons, one of which is this high barrier to just initiating it. And that's what we think this could help. So incorporating a gym into a clinical setting, we think, could increase the utilization, lowering these barriers, improving the care of all of our patients. If you're the patients, improving your care, we think, helping you learn how to do it at home or at other gyms. We don't have a ton of data to back this up, to be honest. We're very evidence-based people. This is something where we just feel strongly passionate about. We have a strong hypothesis that it would help and I think be cost-effective if done in the right way. And so that's basically our thought. We think it's a novel model, even though it actually doesn't seem like rocket science. It seems fairly obvious to us. But absolutely, please, this is going to be in the American Journal of Lifestyle Medicine. It should be published online, maybe by the time this podcast is out. I'm not sure. But keep an eye out for it, and we hope people like it, and we'd love to hear some feedback.
Yeah, perfect. All right, remember, make sure you subscribe, write a review, share with your friends. That's all we got. We're gonna be getting into soon. We're gonna get into the medicines of weight loss, probably in a week or two, and a bunch of other stuff. And we're gonna start inviting guests. Ideally, we're gonna have like a podcast studio, and then we're gonna start wrestling live.
This podcast is for entertainment and education and information purposes only. Remember, the physicians on this podcast are not your physician. It should not be considered professional or personalized medical advice. It should not be used to replace speaking with your physician or medical professional to discuss your specific health concerns. The topics discussed should not be used solely to diagnose or treat any condition. As a result, we are not responsible for any unwanted medical outcomes. The views and opinions discussed are of those of the host only and do not represent those of any other entities.